What is up, guys? Welcome to another video for Battle Prime. I'm Jaeger, and I'm going to take you through the village map, and we're going to target three key types of strategy that take place on here that you need to know where they take place and what are some of these hotbeds for action. We're going to be looking at ranged, mid-range, and also some close quarter combat. Now, this is not an all-inclusive list, but this is going to give you an idea of where a lot of these types of battles take place, so you know how to either play them yourself or be prepared to counter them. Now, I'm going to take a quick look and just kind of overlay the mini map onto this map and just really talk a little bit about this. There is a road that runs top to bottom, or north to south is how we're going to reference this, with Humvees in the center. And then there's this kind of dirt road or alleyway that cuts across perfectly from east to west. And those are going to be some hot references for us. And, kind of knowing your mini map in these key locations like the capture points, domination points, the water cooler, this north, south, east, west is going to be pretty helpful in team communication. We also know that we've got the A capture point over on that kind of southwest corner, the B capture point right over those Humvees in the dead center of the map. And then we've got the C capture point that takes place up in that northeast corner. So knowing those positions of those will also help you, A, in reference of the map, but B, in knowing where and how you should play some of these different positions. But let's jump right into some ranged gameplay. Now, what really I'm going to use as a defining point for range gameplay is going to be moments where you're elevated up and off ground level. So you're playing from a height or also an extensive long range. And some of the two key locations are on the far east and far west of the map. And west we've got here, there's a building right over by the west team spawn point that I've got marked here in that R. And there's a mirror version of this building over on the far east spawn point of this map. Those two key positions are where 9 out of 10 snipers absolutely go hang out and camp and pull off these long range shots, because honestly, you've got perfect vision right down the pipeline of where players primarily move down this map. And getting this position, understanding how to play it and things to watch out for is important. So I want to show a little clip of playing on the west side or left side of the map here using vision, and I just tossed on the MKE-14 just to have a little fun while looking down the map. But here you could literally see how it's practically like shooting fish in a barrel. They all kind of cluster up, they target, they come right down the center of the map, and you can start picking them off. And again, using the MK-14, just having a little fun while picking them off here. But we can also switch over to a stronger weapon, like I'm going to pull out Poison here with the Interceptor and have the ability to truly play that long range, taking heads off from across the map, hitting them near their spawn point on their side of the road. Allows you to really play that true long range and pull off these long shots. The one thing you've got to watch out for is at the flank area right there on that south end of the A spawn point is an area where from a little alleyway you can get flanked and the enemy can get some clean shots up onto this tower position. So be mindful of that. But other words, the one thing you really got to know if that you're going to be a sniper and you're going to play either one of these towers on either the east or the west side is be aware that players absolutely will know you're up there. And all they have to do is wait for you. So when you play up here, don't camp. You need to move around so that way you can avoid being a sitting target for your enemy. But other than that, if you need to stack kills, quite honestly, these two areas are the key area. Here you can see I get a little snipe off with this other enemy sniper, and they decide to jump ship. Now, some other ranged areas that you can play from a height are going to be close to the center of the map, right here above the B capture point. And there's one both on the west side and also the east side of the map. And again, I'll show you a little bit of gameplay from the west side here. But these two platforms right above the B capture point give you that, again, height advantage, but it closes off that distance. Maybe you're not as good as pulling off the long shots. You need it to be a little bit closer. You prefer a shorter range scope, whatever it might be. You can work your way right up these stairs and be able to pull some shots off from midway across the map. But do know that, of course, it puts you in range of more short distance weapons, but still pretty effective. The other side to it, again, just on that east side of the road, kitty corner across the Humvees is a very similar platform that gives you very similar shots across to the east side. Again, they're not going to be your best sniper positions, but they are two additional, and I would consider two probably second most used areas for elevated gun game. A few other elevated range positions are on the south and also on the north end of the map, but targeting this one here on the south, there's a flat top building right there within the A platform, and I have begun to notice more and more players getting up there and using that elevation to kind of get the angle down onto enemies coming around from the southeast corner of the map, but also hugging those corners right by the Humvee. There's a very similar platform to this building also on the north end. It's there. Both of these are more exposed flat top buildings. There is some coverage behind crates and boxes, but they are going to be a little bit more open. So you're going to be prone to, again, more weapons having more shots at you. Your ranged game is not going to be long range, but you are going to be able to get this again. Elevated sniper shots are pretty decent up here, which is why I still put them into the ranged category, is they are an elevated gameplay. Then there's two other platforms, one on that north side of the map, but also on the west side of the road. And there's another one that's on the south end of the map, on the east side of the road, that are very similar. A little bit more coverage because they're between two second-story buildings and have plenty of both sandbags and crates around there. But again, elevated gameplay, which is why I went ahead and classified them as ranged for this purpose. But allows you to get the ability, again, to get that drop, get that angle down on an enemy. And here I'm going to use Isotope from this northwest side. And again, even though I'm using an assault rifle, I can use this as more of a range strategy by using the cover and playing from that platform. Again, the one thing I really got to watch out for is an enemy that might be playing the opposite side. On the southeast side is the mirror version of that platform. So watch out for those, especially if you're a player who might decide to go mid-range or close quarter combat. Those four centered ranged platforms are ones you will absolutely have to watch out for. But from here, we're going to go ahead and switch over to the mid-range, which, again, this is an area where you're going to still maintain some distance between you and your enemy and be pretty strategic. You're not going to go too far out in the open. And one of the hottest ones coming from the west side of the map is going to be a little alleyway here between those two buildings I marked with the M, where you've got a low lying kind of box or crate. You've got the buildings to use for cover, but it gives you some really nice clean shots down that alleyway from west to east, as well as also right there to the Humvee. So a little clip of this here using Vision and her SMG. I can watch those corners. I can still pull off a few shots right down the alleyway there. And there's a flip side of this on the other side of the building, and other side of the road coming from the east. This here, you can work your way up right through that dirt alleyway, and using that corner gets you closer to the enemy. But again, a big kind of deciding factor of what I've classified as mid-range is the fact that you are going to be ground level. But again, you're not going to be doing a lot of point-blank type of combat. And from the east side, using Vityaz here and kind of working my way up the map. Again, I'm playing ground level, which is, I know I'm still making some long-range shots, but ground level, non-elevated, playing that kind of road level style, working my way from the spawn point up this alleyway and to this corner that's going to be right over here to the left side of the map. These positions up and down this alleyway I would consider all to be a little bit more mid-range style gameplay. Although you absolutely could pull sniper shots off here, chances are you're going to be working more machine gun and assault rifle type of weaponry in those positions. You also have what I would consider these kind of flanking mid-range points. And there's one to the north here. The north side of the road, there's a couple of crates, boxes, and vehicles that allow you to kind of position yourself with those mid-range weapons, machine guns, assault rifles, and be able to get these flank shots in to anybody that might be moving in towards those Humvees or at the B capture point. There's a very similar point to this down on the south end of the map, just below the water tower. where there's, again, another Humvee vehicle. There's some crates and barrels where you can get a really nice flank shot for anyone that might be coming from the west side of the map into the Humvees. And again, I've got a clip here using Blast and showing you that, again, playing that mid-range game, going more assault rifle, trying not to get into a point-blank fight, and using that cover here, ground level fighting, allows me to play that mid game and get that flank pretty strategically on it. Open shots to the other side of the Humvee, able to use my grenade from a distance and attack these enemies. It does become a close quarter combat though, right here with this enemy that comes up on me, but using cover allows me to protect my distance from the enemies and get these shots off. Now, those Humvees can also quickly turn into close quarter combat, and so can that south end position. So the first close quarter combat position I'm going to call out is on the south end of the A capture point. There's the alleyway that feeds up into there that I typically find at the start of almost every domination or even TDM match. There's always an enemy who works their way down the south side and comes up into that A spawn point. That if you're playing in a game, really watch that, because that can turn into a pretty nasty close quarter combat. So protect that area. Again, I'm fighting inside the actual capture point rather than outside of it. So this is also a big push of what I've considered close quarter combat. And the same can also be true for the C capture point. When working with this one, there's an alleyway that feeds down from the north that if you can work your way into that and use cover appropriately, you can really hold and use this C capture point as a pretty steadfast dig in battle area. Again, clipping this here with a moment using shock, that being able to get right in here and funnel the enemies through that doorway allow me to truly stack some eliminations and even take down one of those ranged sniper positions up here on that platform that we talked about earlier. But now that I've got this clean of enemies, I can turn this all into close quarter combat by just funneling them through the door, using my grenade to stun, and you use cover, and this close quarter combat takes place inside the capture point. The one thing I've got to watch out for is right here with that sniper position or even a ramp that leads up over the wall. But if they don't come over those positions, I can even use buildings as a little bit of cover. I can start to funnel everybody in through this doorway and absolutely tie them up. There's not a lot of range work that they can play to it. I can play strategic, and boom, I can hold this capture point actually for quite a while. And the same is true that if you can get around that one corner over at the A spawn point or capture point, you can hold that one as well. And then the real hotbed of close quarter combat battle is right here around the Humvees and the corners between the Humvees and the buildings that they're close to. So there's one that takes place right on the northeast side of the road and another one on the southwest corner of the Humvees, where they're kind of angled out just a little bit. But being able to use that spot between the Humvee and the corner of the building, you can turn this into a hotbed action for you of close quarter combat. Being able to hug the corner and just start to feed off these enemies that come in around the corner. I mean, even being flashbang, the one thing you've got to watch out for are flanks from the south end and north end of the road. On the flip side, playing from the east and taking on enemies from the west, hopefully you're picking up and following all of this, but if I come from the east side, I can hug around that Humvee, hug that corner right there at the edge of the Humvee on the south, and I can turn this into a major bottleneck and do some excellent close quarter combat, which I'm going to do right here with Vityaz and the shotgun, and just absolutely start stacking multiple kills. This close quarter combat I have absolute fun playing with, but they bottleneck in, you use that corner, you've got the Humvee, and it's a very, very tight battle gameplay. So with all of that being said, guys, that is some of the major hot spots of action from range to mid-range to close quarter combat. Let me know if there's any positions where you think are key primary spots on the village map. Hopefully this helps you out in considering the strategy and gameplay and where you position yourself on this map. Expect more of these videos to come. But again, this is your breakdown of the village map. I'm Jaeger, and I'm signing out.